My name is Shelley Ware. I am a licensed social worker. I live in Oklahoma. Just moved here a couple of months ago. Moved here right before the COVID-19 pandemic. I was able to get settled a little bit before social distancing started. I love the outdoors, like to exercise. As you can see, I like tattoos. I look at it as a form of expressionism and creativity. I am a people person. I love people. So this social distancing has been hard for me. It's been an adjustment. Why did I get away from God? I don't know. I was a punk teenager. It was probably around 17-ish. I was raised in a very happy, loving, and faith-filled home. Our parents were very religious and raised us to believe in God and to pray. But somewhere along the line, my religion became a trigger for my anxiety. I think it all started probably a little bit before I met the man that I would eventually marry. I was 19 when we met. I was a freshman in college. My roommate and I went up and knocked on his door and introduced ourselves, and I immediately was attracted. He was not a man of faith, however. I was finding myself. I was very, very shy back then. We fell in love at the age of 19. And we got married 6 years later in 2002. I just stopped going to church and stopped praying for the most part. I had a lot of anxiety back then. My anxiety was around relationships. I felt this sense of panic take over whenever I started to get close to someone. I would break up with them. When that sense of panic presented itself with this guy, I freaked because I was so in love with him and I didn't want to lose him. So over the course of time, as I was trying to figure out what this was, this anxiety, I didn't know what to call it. I didn't have a name for it at the time. It was just this deep sense of dread, and the only thing that made that go away was to run away. As I was trying to figure all this out, I started to fear that it was God telling me that this was not the right man for me. And therefore, religion became a source of anxiety because I thought that I was going to lose everything that I knew and that God was going to take it all away from me. My happiness, my love. I thought that, God was going to steal it all away from me because this was not the path I was supposed to take. So I pulled farther and farther away. And we were together for 21 years, and I tried to talk about God a little bit because I still believed, but he wasn't center in my life. My husband just couldn't wrap his head around there is a deity that created the earth and the stars and people, and he's all-knowing, and you can't see him. He's not tangible. You can't hold on to him. So he had a hard time believing that. And I didn't know how to talk about God at the time. I really did not know how to talk about religion at all. After 21 years together, I came home one day in March of 2017, and things had not been going well in my marriage for several years. And I came home to find my husband having what appeared to be a panic attack. We started talking about how things had not been going well for us for a few years now, and things were starting to fall apart. So that day in March, it finally came out. We're going on in different directions. We're not the same people anymore. We want different things. And within a couple of weeks after that, he left and didn't come home again. So all of a sudden I was faced with being single at 40 for the first time since I was a teenager. I didn't know how to deal with that. Fast forward a month, I got a phone call from my aunt on my father's side. My father had been hospitalized and had an MRI of his brain because he had what we thought was a mini stroke, but it turned out it was a seizure, and that seizure was the result of a terminal brain tumor called a glioblastoma. That was in late April of 2017 that I found out that I was going to lose my father. I didn't know when. I didn't know how much time I had with him, but it was a mathematical certainty. There's no cure for it. It's aggressive, it's fast growing, it's invasive, and it's terminal. I was feeling like the world was coming down on me. I didn't know how to reconcile what I was going through other than to focus on my father, which ultimately took the focus off my failing marriage. So ironically enough, it helped me. Then a friend introduced me that summer to online dating. Now this was a world I had never navigated before, and I was just blown away. So it was very exciting at first, and all of a sudden I realized that I was single and I could do whatever I wanted with whoever I wanted. That was something I had not done in my adult life. And so I started dating, and I tried to fill a void, an emptiness in me with other people. And very quickly I realized how wrong that is and how complicated it is to blend your life with another human being at middle age. And so I went through a few attempts at creating a relationship with someone else, only to have it not work out so well within a few weeks' time because of either my anxiety or their anxiety, or we had one little argument and decided, nope, that's it. Nope, done. September of 2017, I decided to give another young man a try. He was younger than me. I quickly started to see a pattern in him. Not a good pattern, a pattern of verbal abuse and insecurity. I ended that only to have it result in a very complicated and ugly situation of stalking and ultimately a restraining order. In November, I lost my father on November 8th, 2017. I went through a lot of ups and downs, a lot of periods of high anxiety, some situational depression, just really trying to figure things out and figure life out, falling on my face a lot, and trying to get back up and keep plugging forward. What happened to bring me back to God? I got in a relationship August of 2018. The only problem was he lived in another state. We were in a relationship for about 10 months, and we had a couple of periods where he pulled away and stopped talking to me, and I was left with questions of what happened, what did I do? As I started to put my life back together, if one little thing went wrong, I would fall apart at the seams. I could not deal with anything going wrong. Not even just relationships, but with my job, with my family, with my friendships, anything. If anything went wrong, I was just a puddle of tears and anxiety and couldn't pull myself out of it. I finally decided to get counseling. I had my doctor start me on a low-dose antidepressant because I just couldn't seem to get through it by myself. That helped tremendously to have somebody to talk to and to bounce ideas off of. May of 2019, my relationship ended. And at that point, I had been talking with my sister for a couple of months now because she had a relationship end also, and she was absolutely devastated, and we were talking for hours every day. And now this was something she and I had not done for a long time. We had pulled apart as sisters. We were talking every day again, and I was trying to help her to get through the worst of her sadness and grief over the loss of this relationship. She was finding comfort in online sermons. So she kept sending me, links. Try this minister, he's so good. And every single time I was just like, nope. Nope, not interested. Thanks, but no thanks. I wanted nothing to do with it. Well, after my breakup in May, I was just like, you know what? I'm done. I hate online dating. I'm not good at it. I'm done. It was at that point that she decided to send me one more link to an online sermon by this church out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, called Transformation Church, Pastor Michael Todd. The series was called Relationship Goals. Being how appropriate that was for the situation I was going through, I said, yeah, okay, I'll give this one a try. And I clicked on it and I watched it. And immediately I was struck by this young pastor's passion for Christ, his humility, and his love of humanity. And his church was just, wow. They just said, come, wherever you are in your faith walk, just come. And as I watched a couple of more sermons in that series, something was starting to stir inside me that I hadn't felt in a very, very long time. So I started watching more of these sermons. And then my sister started sending me Christian music. Again, I was like, no, I have no interest in Christian music. I remembered the Christian music from my youth. Terrible. In my mind at the time, I was just like, not interested, until I clicked on one and I listened to it and I was like, wow, this is Christian music? This almost sounds like something I would hear on the radio. So I started to explore rock, hip hop, blues, you name it. There's Christian music out there in that genre, and it's good. So over the course of the next few months, I started becoming very intentional with what I was watching and listening to. As I was getting ready for work, I would put on a sermon or I would listen to a song, and I just felt really good all of a sudden. I was filled with a peace and a joy that I hadn't felt in years. And it was at that point that I decided to rededicate my life to Jesus. And I'm not going to date for a while. I need to focus on me and I need to focus on him. I said, Lord, it's you and me. We got this and you need to help me. I'm clueless. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to pray. I don't know how to talk about you, Lord. I don't know how to witness to people. I don't know any of it. There was a lot broken in me that needed to be fixed. And I started to realize until I allowed him to fix it, I wasn't going to give another human the best version of myself. Because you can't go into a relationship broken and expect another person to be able to fix what's broken inside of you. It's not realistic and it's not fair to expect somebody else to fill a void in you. And a lot of times it takes us being at rock bottom, or perhaps it takes coming to the realization that I am not making good decisions for myself and I don't want to keep going down this path that I'm seeing myself go down. My sister and I began talking more about God and sharing sermons with each other, and she shared another pastor with me, and that's Stephen Furtick out of Elevation Church in North Carolina, and he's amazing. Just like Pastor Michael taught, God has filled me with a joy through these ministers, and that's what you need to do. If this is something you're curious about, you need to find someone that speaks to you. I took a single woman's journey, a 2-week self-discovery. I traveled by myself. I hopped on 8 different planes and went to several different states, and ending up in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where I met my sister, and we went to Transformation Church. And when I got to Tulsa, I just fell in love with it. So I got back home, started praying about it, because I'd started to feel a pull towards Tulsa and didn't want to make any hasty, rash, crazy decisions. So I prayed on it for several months before I finally felt God start to move in my life, and he put it all together. And in January of 2020, I packed up my life. With the help of my sister, I drove 1,500 miles to Oklahoma. This channel was actually my sister's idea. She started feeling God laying on her heart last August that she should start a YouTube ministry. But when she mentioned it to me, I was just like, not interested. But over the course of the last couple of months, through this COVID-19 pandemic, I have felt God laying it on my heart more to do this. The people that I hope to help with this channel are people who have either gotten away from religion for a long time and are trying to find their way back, or people who are just desperate for something more meaningful and who are curious and open-minded and exploring and searching for something, but they don't know where to go. They're not quite ready to step into church yet. I don't know the Bible. I read it. I couldn't cite a verse to save my life, but I'm learning, and I want to help people who are in the same space. Maybe not quite at the point where I'm at yet, or maybe even a little bit ahead of me, but who are still in need of some guidance or to connect with other people who are in a similar space. A place where my sister and I can share our experiences with you, share our testimony with you, and give you some hope, guidance, and some peace by sharing our experiences. We are real. I'm covered in tattoos. I am not the cliche Christian. I've messed up, I've fallen on my face. But what I've realized in my own journey is that God's been beside me the whole time. I just didn't acknowledge him. I turned away from him. I didn't want his guidance. But he just sat there and he waited patiently. He waited until I turned toward him. And he came running. And it's not perfect. I still have days of anxiety. I still have days of loneliness. But I'm a work in progress, and I want to do this channel with my sister so that we can help other people who aren't perfect. God doesn't expect perfection. He will walk away from the 99 to go for the one who's lost, the one who is stumbling in the dark and who's reaching but doesn't know what to reach for, who doesn't know who to call out to. He'll come running. You just have to ask. So if we can help you in this journey and at the same time continue to help ourselves, that's what we hope to do. Thank you for coming to watch. Tell me what you think in the comments below, and we'd like to share this journey with you.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here. I got time, it's clear to see. From up here, the world seems small. We can sit together.